4 officers have been charged by the FBI in relation to the case of Breonna Taylor, and Brittney Griner have been sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison. Let's get into it.
Breonna Taylor should be alive today.
Attorney General Merrick Garland announced the civil rights charges in the botched raid that killed 26-year-old Breonna Taylor. The 4 current and former officers are accused of crimes that include obstruction, falsifying an affidavit to secure a search warrant, and excessive use of force. On March 13, 2020, Louisville police officers raided Taylor's apartment, searching for drugs allegedly stashed by a former boyfriend. Kenneth Walker, who was in the apartment and dating Taylor at the time, fired 1 shot at police. Louisville police officers fired more than 30 shots, many blindly into the apartment.
My girlfriend's dead.
Taylor was struck and killed.
I've waited 874 days for today.
It's here now.
It's here now.
Taylor's mother, Tamika Palmer, spoke to reporters along with family attorney Ben Crump.
This is a day that black women saw equal justice in the United States of America.
Sergeant Kyle Meany and former detective Joshua Jaynes are charged with falsifying an affidavit to obtain the raid search warrant. Former detective Brett Hankison is charged with blindly firing into Taylor's apartment. Jaynes and detective Kelly Goodlett are accused of covering up their actions.
Those 2 defendants met in a garage where they agreed to tell investigators a false story.
Breonna Taylor's death during the botched police raid galvanized the social justice movement. Her name is now synonymous with demonstrations over policing and racial injustice.
Breonna Taylor should have awakened in her home as usual on the morning of March 13th, 2020. Tragically, she did not.
So the U.S. Attorney General announced today that the Department of Justice have filed charges against 4 former and current police officers in connection with the death of Breonna Taylor. The current charges include civil rights offenses, unlawful conspiracies, unconstitutional use of force, and obstruction offenses. Well, it's about damn time. What happened was grossly incompetent and downright criminal response towards Breonna and her household. No matter the circumstances, she didn't deserve to be slaughtered that way. It's time for those murderers to face accountability and for Breonna and her loved ones to receive justice. The fact that they was able to move on and act like they didn't kill an innocent, unarmed woman in her own home, it really boils my blood. This should happen a whole lot sooner, but I'm glad it happened. What they did to her was complete injustice, and the fact that the state let these cops go is horrible. Good news for the ones that never gave up this fight for justice. I'm sure her family is overcome with emotions right now. I'm so proud of her mother for fighting for justice for her baby girl, for her daughter. She wouldn't let the state shut her up with hush money. I'm glad justice is moving forward, and I hope that everyone that was involved with this case are held accountable. Say her name, Breonna Taylor.
Brittney Griner should never have had to stand trial, let alone be sentenced to nearly a decade behind bars. But there's also hope tonight that the Russians may finally negotiate in earnest over a prisoner exchange, now that the sentencing phase is over.
I had no intent to break any Russian laws.
From a cage in the courtroom, WNBA star Brittney Griner expressed remorse. But that did not stop a Russian judge from sentencing her to 9 years in a penal colony.
I want to apologize to my teammates, my club, Gemka, the fans, and the city of ECAT for my mistake that I made and the embarrassment that I brought onto them.
The sentence prompted outrage from her Phoenix Mercury teammates and her league. President Biden called it unacceptable.
Russia is wrongfully detaining Brittney.
The 6'9" center was on her way to play in Russia when she was arrested in February. Russian authorities accused her of drug smuggling after finding less than a gram of cannabis oil in her luggage.
I love my family.
In a bid to bring Griner and another American, Paul Whelan, home, U.S. officials have proposed a prisoner swap, possibly involving Russian arms dealer Victor Bout.
But it's a serious proposal. We urge them to accept it. They should have accepted it weeks ago when we first made it.
But the Russians said they wouldn't negotiate until Griner was sentenced.
The Russian court systems and Putin have to be able to justify to the Russian people they convicted a U.S. athlete.
Bill Evanina is the former head of counterintelligence for the U.S. government.
This can go on for a long time, especially if Lavrov and Putin want something specific that we're unwilling to give.
Brittney Griner had been found guilty by the Russia court on drug charges and sentenced to 9 years in prison. 9 years in prison. I mean, the sentence, in my opinion, is very excessive, but that's the law in Russia. It's unfortunate that she may have to spend close to 10 years in prison, but Americans need to understand that you have to abide by the rules of whatever country that you are in. Things that are acceptable here in the States may not be acceptable over there. Plus, their systems are not our systems. People seem to forget that we are a guest in someone else's country. So until you leave that country, you have to be on your best behavior. Just because you're American doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want to do. They will make an example out of you. Unfortunately, she got caught up in Russia at the worst possible time, and there's literally nothing that can be done, or next to nothing. But we'll see how things goes, and if there's going to be a possible trade-off. Russia was always going to throw the book at her because she is a fairly high-profile American during the time of war with the West, and they are not interested in or obligated to be fair to their own people, let alone an American with the current geopolitical situation. And I have to be honest with you guys, I really am afraid for her. So just prayers that everything works out in her favor and she returns back home safe to America. Alright guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's continue the conversation down below in the comments. Make sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'm Lady T. I'll catch you the next time. Be blessed. Bye.